People used to call Amaka too nice. They would shake their heads and say, "This one, she's too soft. She will suffer in marriage if she's not careful." But Amaka didn't mind. She believed that kindness always wins. That if you cook with love, people will taste it. That if you treat people with respect, they'll treat you the same. But one day, Amaka found out that some people don't care how kind you are. Some people smile at your face and still steal from your pocket. And sometimes, that person sleeps in your own house. Amaka met Kine when she was 26. He was calm, tall, and kind with his words. He didn't talk too much, and he didn't make big promises. But when he said, "You're the woman I want to grow old with," she believed him. They got married after 1 year. And just 2 weeks after the wedding, Mama Ifeoma moved in. That's Keen's mother. Her husband had passed away 5 years earlier. She lived alone in the village. Keen said, "Mama shouldn't stay alone anymore. She's old. We'll take care of her." And Amaka, who had just become a wife, smiled and said, "Of course, she's our mother." That's how it began. At first, everything was okay. Amaka tried her best. She cooked Mama's native soups the way she liked. She arranged her room with soft bed sheets and made sure she had a new wrapper every Christmas. She reminded her to take her blood pressure medicine. She helped her bathe when her joints hurt. She even carried her Bible bag to church every Sunday. Mama Ifeoma would smile and say, "Nah, you are a good wife. May God bless you." And those words meant the world to Amaka. She didn't have a mother of her own. She had died when Amaka was just a teenager. So in Mama Ifeoma, she saw a chance to love again. But slowly, little things began to change. Keen started staying out late. He would say it was work stress, but he always came home smelling like pepper soup and beer. When Amaka told him she was tired of doing everything alone, he said, "You're the woman. That's your role." She didn't argue. She cooked, cleaned, worked. And after 5 years of marriage, they had a baby girl, Chisom. Amaka's joy doubled. Her whole world became about feeding the child, keeping the home clean, and keeping peace. But Mama Ifeoma changed. She began complaining more. One day she told Amaka, your stew is too watery. My late daughter never cooked like this." Another day she said, "I don't like this modern baby food. In our days we used yam water." Then one night, Amaka overheard her on the phone, whispering, "This one? She just likes to serve. I don't need to lift a finger. God gave me free help." Amaka felt a sting in her chest, but she didn't say anything. Maybe she didn't mean it like that, she told herself. One afternoon, Amaka came back from the market. She had bought fresh ugu leaves, tomatoes, and some meat for soup. As she entered the house, she heard Mama Ifeoma shouting on the phone again. This time, her voice was louder. "That girl is too soft. She thinks she's impressing me. Let her keep working. I'm just waiting for Keen to marry someone better." Amaka stood still, her slippers still dusty. She looked at her daughter's tiny shoes by the door. She looked at her hands that had peeled yam, washed bitterleaf, scrubbed toilets, and washed Mama's wrapper for years. Then she walked into the kitchen and cooked like nothing happened. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. But something inside her went cold. A few weeks later, while cleaning Mama Ifeoma's drawer, Amaka found something strange. Receipts, money transfer slips, and hidden beneath some old handkerchiefs jewelry. Her jewelry. Some she thought had gone missing long ago. Gold necklace from her wedding day. Her late mother's earrings. Even the gold chain her father gave her before he passed. Attached to one of the receipts was a note. It said, "For Ijeoma's school fees. From Mama." Ijeoma was Mama Ifeoma's granddaughter from her late daughter. Not Amaka's child. Not Keen's child. Not even someone living in the house. Amaka sat down on the bed, her hands shaking. She picked up her phone, checked Mama's WhatsApp voice notes. And then she heard the truth. It was Mama's voice, clear and sharp. "My dear, you know me now. I just tell her what she wants to hear. She thinks God sent her to serve me. This house is not hers. It's my son's. She's temporary. I'm only here till Kene remarries someone better. I'm just gathering small things before I leave." Amaka's hand dropped. Her heart slowed. Everything she had done, all the cooking, all the care, all the prayers, all the gifts, was it all for someone who never saw her as family? Who stole from her and still mocked her? That evening, Amaka showed the receipts and the voice note to Kene. He barely looked up from his phone. "So?" he said. "She's old, don't stress her." Amaka blinked. "She's been taking my things, my money, my gold, and you're saying don't stress?" He shrugged. "Family is family. Let it go. We'll buy new gold later." That was when Amaka knew she was not a wife in this house. She was a worker, a maid, a ghost. That night, while her daughter slept beside her, Amaka stayed awake. She stared at the ceiling, listening to the ticking clock. She remembered how much food she had made for people who never said thank you. How many prayers she had whispered into the dark for a family that never prayed for her. And just before sunrise, she made a decision. She was leaving. One weekend, Mama, Ifioma, and Kine went to church. Amaka packed 2 boxes quietly. Her clothes, her daughter's clothes, her certificates, her cookbook. She didn't leave a note. She didn't explain. She simply took her child and her piece and walked out the door. She moved into a friend's small apartment. She filed for divorce quietly. And within 3 months, she had opened a small home service catering company. Its name? Silent Hands. Because for 8 years, her hands had fed people who never said thank you. Amaka didn't tell anyone where she went, not even her own cousin. She needed quiet. She needed to breathe. She needed to stop crying into the soup pot for people who never said thank you. The first night in her friend's apartment, she couldn't sleep. Her daughter, little Chisum, had already drifted off beside her, holding her teddy. But Amaka sat on the edge of the mattress, staring at the wall. She remembered Mama Ifioma's voice. "I'm just waiting for Keen to marry someone better." She remembered Keen's shrug. "She's old. Don't stress her." She remembered herself in that house she used to tiptoe around like a stranger in her own home. The next morning, Amaka opened her purse. She had only 300 left. Just enough for bread, baby wipes, and transport. That's when she did something bold. She walked into the small kitchen of her friend's place and picked up her old recipe book. It was covered in oil stains and flour dust. But it had something powerful inside. Her mother's handwriting. Amaka flipped to the page that said, "Sweet yam porridge with smoked fish and heart." That was the name her mother gave it. Because it didn't just fill your belly, it filled your soul. She made a pot that morning. Just one pot. And then she placed it in small takeaway bowls, used the 500 she had left to print paper stickers. She wrote, "Silent Hands Kitchen Food from a Heart That Served." She walked to a nearby office complex and stood outside. She was nervous. Her legs were shaking. She looked down at her child strapped to her back, and then whispered, "We will not beg. We will build." She smiled at the next passerby and said, "Good morning, sir. Would you like to try something warm and honest?" That day, she sold every bowl. Meanwhile, back at the house, Kene returned from church, expecting Sunday rice. There was none. He walked into Mama's room. She was tying her wrapper and shouting about how the stew in the fridge had no salt. "Where's that your lazy wife?" she asked. "Gone," Keen muttered, checking his phone. "Gone where?" "I don't know." Mama's face changed. "She left without kneeling? After all I did for her?" Keen just sighed and turned on the TV. "She'll come back. They always come back." But Amaka didn't come back. Within 2 weeks, Silent Hands Kitchen had become popular. People loved her food not just because it was tasty, but because it felt like home. One woman said, "Your rice reminds me of my late grandma's pot." Another man whispered, "I eat this when my heart is heavy. It heals me." Amaka cooked from 4 a.m. every day, sometimes with tears on her face, sometimes with joy in her chest, but always with purpose in her hand. One day, a woman walked into her small kitchen space. She was tall, with gold-rimmed glasses. She looked around, then said, "Are you the one who owns Silent Hands?" Amaka wiped her hands. "Yes, ma." The woman smiled. "My name is Chioma Eze. I run one of the biggest wedding planning firms in this city. I've been looking for someone to handle traditional catering. I think I just found her." Amaka blinked. "Me?" "Yes, you." Chioma nodded. "Your food is not just food. It tells a story. I want that for my brides." That evening, Amaka sat outside her kitchen, holding a cold bottle of malt. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "God, you're still writing my story." Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a message. From Keen. "You left just like that? No explanation? Mama is sick now. She hasn't eaten properly since you disappeared." Then a second message. "Please, think about Chisholm. She needs a father." Amaka looked at the screen for a long time, then turned the phone off. The next week, Kine showed up. He came to the small kitchen just before lunchtime. He stood at the door, looking smaller than Amaka remembered. "You're doing well," he said. Amaka nodded, not smiling. "Mama misses you. I miss you." She raised an eyebrow. "You miss me? Or you miss my food?" He looked down. "I was wrong. I should have stood up for you. I didn't know." Amaka crossed her arms. "You didn't want to know. That's worse." There was silence. Then she said, "Keen, I gave everything. My time, my respect, my gold, my voice, and all I got was a shrug." "I'm sorry," he said, barely above a whisper. She nodded. "I forgive you, but forgiveness is not a return ticket." "So this is it?" he asked. Amaka smiled softly. "This is just the beginning." Later that month, Silent Hands catered its first wedding. Chioma's clients loved it. Soon, Amaka had to hire 2 more women, both single mothers. She trained them, paid them well, and made sure they never felt invisible. Each time she paid salaries, she'd say, "Nobody here is serving for free. Not again." One rainy evening, Mama Ifioma showed up. She stood at the door of the kitchen in her wrapper and head tie, holding a nylon bag. Her voice was softer now. "No, I came to say sorry." Amaka wiped her hands. "Mama, I was wrong," she said. "You treated me like gold, and I gave you stone." "Yes," Amaka said, tears rising in her eyes. "You hurt me deeply." "I know," Mama nodded. "But my pride was bigger than my heart. I see it now." Amaka pulled out a chair and let her sit. Not because she forgot, but because she finally understood. Kindness is a seed, and when you plant it in the right place, it grows. Amaka didn't kick Mama Ifioma out that day. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't throw insults or demand an apology louder than the rain outside. She simply gave the old woman a seat, poured her a warm glass of zobo, and said, "I hope you understand now that silence doesn't mean weakness." Mama Ifioma nodded slowly. I do, my daughter." But Amaka didn't rush to hug her. She had learned something. Not all wounds need a bandage. Some just need distance. The next morning, Amaka went to the lawyer's office. Her divorce papers were ready. She signed with steady hands. "No drama," she said. "Just peace." Her lawyer smiled. Peace is power. And with that, the chapter of marriage that nearly erased her was finally closed. A month later, Amaka hosted her first Silent Hands Sunday. It was a free lunch for single mothers and widows in the community. No speeches, no cameras, just warm food, kind smiles, and full bellies. Her little daughter, Chisum, helped serve water. One of the women at the table looked up with tears and said, "This food tastes like a mother's love." Amaka smiled gently. "That's exactly what it's made from." Later that night, Chioma Eze called. "Amaka, I've got news." "Good or bad?" Amaka asked. "Big," Chioma said, laughing. "You've been nominated for the Rising Flame Women in Business Award." Amaka nearly dropped the phone. "Me?" "Yes, you. They love what you're doing. Silent Hands is not just a kitchen anymore. It's a movement." At the award night, Amaka wore a simple green lace gown. Her hair was tied back. No flashy jewelry, no makeup cake. Just grace. When they called her name, she walked slowly to the stage. The hall was quiet. And then she began. "For 8 years, I served food to people who never thanked me. I gave my joy to a home that swallowed my voice. But the truth is, sometimes we think loyalty means pain, that staying silent means we are strong." She paused, looked around. But strength is not always about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go with your head high and your hands still clean. The room clapped. Some stood. Some cried. But for Amaka, it wasn't about the award. It was about knowing she was finally seen. Weeks later, as Silent Hands expanded, Amaka opened a small training school at the back of her kitchen. She taught girls how to cook, manage money, and recognize the signs of emotional manipulation. One afternoon, while she was cleaning up, someone walked in. It was Cain. He had aged. His eyes were tired, his shoulders slouched. "I'm not here to cause trouble," he said. "I just wanted to see what you built." Amaka nodded. "Now you've seen it." "I lost the house," he said. "Mama moved back to the village. She says she misses your soup." Amaka gave a small, quiet laugh. "Tell her she can order online." He nodded, embarrassed. Then he said something strange. "I didn't know what I had. Not until I ate food from another woman for 2 years, and never once felt full." Amaka tilted her head. "Maybe you weren't hungry for food. Maybe you were just starving for someone to do everything for you." He looked up. "Is there a chance that we could start over?" Amaka smiled gently but firmly. "Keen, there's always a second chance, but not always in the same story." And with that, she wiped her hands, turned around, and walked back into the kitchen where joy, peace, and purpose were still boiling on the fire. Dear listener, if you've ever served people who never said thank you, if you've ever cooked with your whole heart, only to be told it's not salty enough, if you've ever felt like a stranger in your own home, this story is for you. Let Amaka's journey remind you. Kindness is not slavery. Patience is not permission. And silence is not weakness. If you've been pouring from your heart, but the people around you keep drinking without giving thanks, then maybe it's time to feed yourself first. Ask yourself, who have I been serving? Do they value me? And if they don't, what am I still doing there? If this story touched your heart, please like this video. Share your thoughts in the comments. Send it to someone who's been quiet for too long. And subscribe for more true stories of quiet strength and loud healing.